A seller came to us to list his home and he was feeling completely confident about one thing, and that is his basement. He has spent about 25 grand having it repaired. He had a home warranty from the contractor. Allen County signed off on it. He thought that chapter was completely closed, but then the buyer's inspector took a walk through and he looked at those same walls, and everything that the seller thought was good suddenly wasn't. And here's how we kept that deal from falling apart. So here's the situation. A seller reached out to list his home. It was older, and a couple of months before he called us, he had a real problem that was taken care of. There was water intrusion. It was coming in the basement. Some of the walls were bowing pretty bad, and he hired a basement contractor, a local company, spent about $25,000 to fix it, and he did everything a reasonable person would do in this situation. He got the warranty from the contractor. Allen County Building Department came out. They inspected it. They approved it, and he thought everything was good. He thought he had a clean bill of health, and he fully expected no problems for this. But then after his offer was accepted, the buyer, they brought their own home inspector in, and that inspector looked at the basement and said the walls still appear to be bowing, and that the inspector couldn't be certain about the actual nature of the work that had been done. He recommended that the foundation be looked at by a professional, and for a seller, that was genuinely a scary moment. He thought in his head he'd already solved this problem, and now the whole deal was kind of hanging on. So this is exactly the kind of moment where an experienced team really earns its keep. So let me walk you through exactly how we handled it. Here's the first thing we helped our seller understand, because it's really the heart of this whole story, is that a warranty and a permit are not the same as a structural guarantee. So the seller genuinely believed that because the building department had approved the work, everything was certified and sound, but that's not what the approval actually means. So the building department, they're only going to look at the specific work that was performed, whether it was done correctly or not, right? So they're not making a determination about the overall structural integrity of the home. And the contractor's warranty is only going to stand behind the work that they did. They're not an engineering firm, and they're not actually certifying the structure itself. So the seller, he had done everything right and still had this real gap between what he thought he had and then what he could actually prove to a nervous buyer. So understanding that difference is really what pointed us to the solution. Now, some people would argue that a further, examination is the buyer's job. It's part of their due diligence, and technically that is a fair point, but we made the decision to take control of the situation on our client's behalf rather than leaving this deal to sit and hope the buyer handled it well, because sometimes they don't. So we brought in a licensed structural engineer to evaluate the basement ourselves, and this is the key, because the structural engineer's professional determination, whatever that is going to carry way more weight than just a visual inspection, from a buyer or a parent or a home inspector. A home inspector looks and gives an opinion, but a structural engineer actually evaluates and then makes a formal professional finding. They're different. So when it comes to the actual structure of a home, that engineer's assessment is always going to supersede a visual inspection. And instead of arguing about what the walls might be doing, we went ahead and got the real definitive answer. And fortunately, the report came back exactly the way we had hoped. The engineer determined, to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, I guess, that the basement walls and the floor joists had the structural strength required by the residential building code. So, in plain English, the foundation was good. And he even addressed this slight lean in the detached garage and confirmed it still met code. So now, instead of a nervous buyer and an anxious seller and an inspector's kind of uncertainty hanging over everything, we had a real answer from a professional that told us that the home was structurally sound, and that's what took a scary, deal-threatening moment, turned it back into a closing. Our seller went from thinking he might lose the sale entirely, super scary, to moving forward without a cloud over it, no problem, because we didn't guess. We didn't argue. We got the truth on paper from the one professional whose word actually was going to be able to settle it. So here's what we want you to take from this. Whether you're selling a home or repairing it, if you invest serious money into a major repair like this, like a foundation, and you want real certainty that it's done right, it's really worth having a structural engineer confirm the proposal, not just the contractor and not just a permit. So if you're getting ready to sell a home with any history like this, that's exactly the kind of situation our team knows how to manage well before it ever becomes a crisis for you. If you're thinking about selling here in the Fort Wayne area, reach out to us. We'd love to make sure your home sale goes smoothly from the very start to the end.